Wonderful. So today we're looking at escape rooms. Engage, explore, escape, implementing digital escape rooms across the institution. And of course, this is a game-based digital escape rooms belong to the whole genre of game-based learning. And game-based learning, as some of us may know, is an active learning technique which uses games to improve student learning. That's a very simplified way of looking at it. Now, one of the things that I want us to do is to engage a little bit in testing the waters. What would it feel like if we were to play a digital game, escape? So I have just posted in the chat a link. It leads you to a game. It's a PowerPoint game made in PowerPoint, but for you to truly experience the fullness of the game, you'll have to download it. So I'm not putting in rooms at this point. What I want you to do is to download the game. It's a PowerPoint game. I'd like to thank Deidre Telfo for allowing me to use this. This is a game that was created for a project that we're working on, a virtual self-access learning center, a UTech project. And so I got the go-ahead. Thank you, Deidre. So please download the game. I haven't started timing yours yet. The link has been shared. As soon as you have downloaded it, you can put some kind of indication in the chat, a thumbs up, write in the a thumbs up on your screen, write in the chat to say that you have downloaded it. And as soon as I believe it should take about a minute or less to download, we will begin and I will time us. So I'll put a timer on for you to play the game. So please, okay, I see where the downloading is being done. Nice, nice. And if you're having any issues at all with it, please let me know. Okay, great. Wonderful. All right, so I am giving us 8 minutes on the clock. When you download the game, and it doesn't matter if you download it after it starts, I want us to just experience something. So I'm giving us 8 minutes. Please play the game. If you are successful, meaning you end out of the game, you gone through the room and have escaped, we'll talk about that. If not, that is fine. So 8 minutes on the clock, please. I'm just going to stop my sharing a little bit because I'd love to see the faces when we're talking. Please go ahead. You have 8 minutes. Door is locked. So he goes back. That didn't work. Notices it says a piece of paper on the floor, maybe a note. But there is something on the door. It says straight here to the rooms, and then there is the crushed paper. What shall we do? Should we go get the paper?
Crushed paper.
Oh, we go for the paper. All right, let's see. So the paper gives us some information. It says, welcome to the Rebanara Vault, a human prison or a tomb, depending on whether or not you get out. How you got here is not important. What is more important is how you get out before you become a test subject in our project. So you are in the infamous Rebanara Vault, an escape room from which only Daniel D'azevedo has escaped. Only one door leads outside. So the one that you got, Laura, is the wrong one. And you must select a 4-digit access code to leave. Find a code locating D'azevedo's 4 journal entries. So we know that there are 4 things we need to find hidden somewhere in each room. Your mouse will change to a hand. So this is giving some basic information. Find the redundancy in each journal by clicking on it. When you have located all the entries, decipher the code and select it to leave. The door is now unlocked. You can start looking for the journal entries. So you go to the door, and I suspect by now you realize that if you click on the phone, it's not there. If you click on the computer, it gives you some information. The picture says get out now, so we close, we're still in the room. The book is giving us information. So we close that. Where else would we look? Oh, this garbage bin has paper. Found the first one. All right, now I'm just going to cheat a little bit. So that is the first one. That's not it.
Michelle, can you turn the volume of the presentation down so I can hear you better?
Oh, my sound is shared. One sec. Oh dear. Let me just take the sound off. There we go.
We can hear you now, but the sound's
All
off.
right, great. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that the sound was on. All right, so let's go here. No. Well, it must be this. Okay, here we go. And we're looking for the redundancies. All right. And I'm just going to jump a little bit because I'm cheating, as I said. So I know where the clues are. All right. And for this one, what's the redundancy?
Retrospect.
There we go. And where is the clue in this one? Avanelio came out.
Yeah, but I didn't click on all of those things though. I just clicked on one clue and it says something about redundancy. You have to go back. So I clicked the back button.
So, yes. So
yeah.
You did it on your phone?
No, computer.
And it gave you back?
Well, I just clicked the back arrow. Sorry?
Because you opened it in your browser.
No, I
downloaded
it and I played it and
you saw the back button?
No. There was a clue that said something about redundancy. You have to go back. So I just pressed the back button.
So you actually, if this were actually saved as it should be, you wouldn't have been able to do that. So this is a final clue. What is the redundancy here? Unexpected. Okay, and then it brings you here. Now, I don't know if anybody noticed that in each of the letters, there were some letters in capitalized and in red. And so these are the different letters. What might be the code? What's the code?
Help.
Organize.
Help.
But you know, I've missed that whole thing about the redundancies.
So it's not help. It's not help. You missed the redundancy because the note that was on the floor gave that kind of information. All right.
So there were certain keywords that we would see coming up again in the other notes. That was the redundancy we were supposed to be looking for.
So let me, I'm going to put it in presentation mode. All right. So that you can see something. So let me, can I do that? I saved it as a PowerPoint show. Let me just open it and show you.
Michelle, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
I have a suggestion. So to appreciate it and to understand what we're doing, I think an explanation of what an escape room is and how it works would help for the folks who aren't familiar with the concept or what's supposed to happen.
Yes, I wanted to start with the game and then go into that. So yes, you are correct.
It's not working well when we download it. When we click on things, it's not running like it should. So that makes it a little more confusing.
Yes. All right. So essentially, and I'm so happy that this has happened because it means that we can't put it up as a PowerPoint for testing purposes any at all, because this is likely to happen. We would have to convert it to the final product, which is what we have. So let me go through and then we are going to come back to the game. All right. So let me just go back. All right. So let's go back. So we're looking at an escape room. So in digital educational escape rooms, that's what we're focusing on. They have emerged as a powerful tool that can be used to promote active learning in a number of educational settings, not just at higher education. In fact, in the higher education sphere, it has become quite a contender. Escape rooms are immersive puzzles, if you will. They are interactive. They're fun ways of having your participants work through solving a particular puzzle. So they take the learning objectives, they foster your different skill sets, such as problem solving, critical thinking, collaboration. And they do that within a game setting, a game atmosphere. And when we think about escape rooms, because the whole idea is for you to escape the room, you find that if you're using it in educational settings, they increase students' engagement and motivation. They promote collaboration and teamwork. They develop problem-solving skills and critical thinking skills. They provide opportunities for experiential learning. And of course, they cater to a number of different learning preferences and learning styles, even though that we're told that learning styles really aren't a thing. And they foster within students a sense of accomplishment and confidence. Now, digital digital escape rooms can come in different shapes and form and so forth. For us, it depends on well, for us in the VSAL, we created our games, but then there are platforms that facilitate, you simply put the kind of information you want in. We wanted to, well, one of the things that I did, I wanted to find out where exactly is the action? Which kind of establishments are using escape rooms? And I found quite a number of them. All right. So Breakout EDU, some of them I found I couldn't get access to the games themselves, but I got access to synopsis, overviews, and research papers. So Breakout Edu has a number of escape setup. So they have Escape the Classroom, where they set up different subject areas and different levels through, and they ensure that their games are aligned to their curriculum standards. There is the cybersecurity escape room, which is set up by the University of New Haven, and they have a room that teaches cybersecurity concepts and skills, and the students have to work together, going through the challenges to ensure that they are cracking the different codes that have to do with social engineering and network security. I mean, it was really interesting. The Smithsonian Museum has something that's called Escape the Museum. And this is where the students go through, the visitors go through a virtual tour, and they have to be solving these different puzzles related to history, science, and art. And of course, they're thinking through and making connections without actually getting that kind of information. And so I took a look at different institutions that had these things set up. Escape the Island is from the University of North Carolina, and they have a room that teach information literacy and research skills. So the students are stranded on a virtual island, and they must solve challenges that have to do with evaluating information and sources and selecting the correct ones to get through. The Michigan Tech has escape rooms as well, but these are not digital escape rooms. These are physical rooms. And so students are put in these rooms where they have to go through making use of skill sets that employers are looking for. So escape rooms are actually breaking out, unlocking engagement at different levels, at different tertiary institutions. We're gonna play the game again, all right? But this time we're gonna do it together. I will manage the game from this end, and then we're going to discuss. So I'm making a little change to the breakout. We're gonna discuss a few things. So make a note of this. We're gonna play the game again, but we are going to be looking at, oh, hold on, wrong thing that we're looking at right now. We're gonna play the game again, but there are some questions that I need us to consider. All right. What are the kind of skill sets that would be needed to complete a game like this? What kind of skills do you see the game that the game is likely to develop? All right, so you know that there are certain things that you have to do in order to escape the room, but what other skills do you see coming out? And if you were to implement something like this at your institution, what do you think would be needed? All right, so there are three things that I want us to think about when we go through the game again. So remember, we are going to escape this room. We're looking at English language, and we are focusing on the whole matter of redundancy. And we are actually going to be exploring the room. So even though I created it, I will be working us through. So we're going to be having an open conversation. All right, so while we're doing this, think about what are the skills that you see happening, right? Pretend that we're in small groups and not a whole class concept. So what are the different skills you see that are needed for us to escape the room? What kind of skill set do you see coming out apart from what we need to escape the room? And if you were to think of implementing this within your university, within your high school, your community colleges, what are some of the things that you think would be important? All right, so I'm going to stop sharing this one, and then I'm going to bring the game back up so that we can explore that together. So that I stopped sharing this, I'm bringing up, and I'll read and we discuss together. All right. All right. So we know that it's unlocking the Revanara vault, and I'll pretend to be the protagonist here. Okay. Oh, where am I? What is this place? Oh, my head hurts.
We're not seeing the screen.
You're not seeing my screen. Let's try that again. Let us try that again. Are you seeing now?
Yes, we are.
All right,
Yes.
great. All right, okay. Coming up. All right, here I go again. Where am I? What is this place? My head hurts. Why do I feel as if I was hit by a truck? Am I a prisoner? There's a locked door. Let me try leaving. Should we just stay here and wait until somebody comes? Come on, you're talking to me.
No.
Let's go.
All right,
Let's go.
let's go. Let's go to the locked door. Oh no. The door is locked. The key is required, and the person who locked the key has that. All right, so that didn't work, but there's a piece of paper on the floor. Maybe it's a note. How did it reach there? Does it have any clue of how I can get out of here? Let me see what it says. So it says, welcome to the Revanara Vault, a human prison or a tomb, depending on whether or not you get out. That sounds ominous, doesn't it? How you got here is not important. What is more important is how you get out before you become a test subject in our project. You're in the infamous Revanara Vault, an escape room from which only Daniel D'Azevedo has ever escaped. Only one door leads outside, and you must select a 4-digit code to leave. Find a code by locating Daniel D'Azevedo's 4 journal entries hidden somewhere in the room. Your mouse will change to a hand. Find the redundancy in each journal by clicking on it. When you have located all entries, decipher the code, select it, and leave. The door is now unlocked. You can start looking. All right, guys, here we are, trapped in a room. We have to find these entries. What did it say about how do we leave? So we can leave, but what do we have to do? Come on, guys, talk to me.
You
You need to find the redundancy in each of the clues. So
And how do we find the clues?
we need to close out this one and then we need to enter the rooms.
All right. So let's
The
do
hand
that.
appears, that indicative of the rooms.
So we know that all right.
Right.
Okay, so here we are in a room, and because we were in this room before, I suppose we can go. But there are a number of things that if we pass the cursor, we realize that they're clickable. All right, and I'm gonna jump this one because we were in this room before. All right. So here is the first note. And does anybody notice anything about his note?
E, capital
The
E.
E is highlighted, so that's a clue. Somebody needs to write that down. So we have the E that's highlighted, and we realize that there are some words that are underlined, which sort of suggests that these are the ones that we need to select from. Yes. All right. And we're looking for redundancies. All right. Let us quickly recap. What are redundancies again?
Repetition of words.
Pretty much repetition. So we see repetition. All right. So we have this one, and we know that we're collecting 4, and this is the first one. All right. And here we are. Because that is correct, it takes us to this place. And we have gone through all these, and we know that this is where this one is. What's the code in this one? What's the letter that's capitalized in this one?
H.
It's H. So far we have E and we have H. All right. But in order to move on, we need to find a redundancy. Okay. And we know that it's exactly the same thing. Okay. The third room, it's a nice room. We checked all of this before, so let us just click on the notes. Okay. And the L, so we had E, H, and this is L, and we know that it's in retrospect because Laura had pointed that out before. Okay, this is the fourth room. Of course, there are other things that are there, and I don't think we need to search. We can just simply go. But there is a door in the wall, and it carries us back. So that's a trap. All right, so now we have to do that all over again. All right, so what is happening here? So we don't click on the open door because that's a trap. But we know that the clue is in the house. All right.
It may be in the hat.
It's in the hat. The hat, I'm sorry. And then unexpected surprise. And P. So the letters were E, H, L, and P for this one. When we click on that, it carries us to where all the clues are, and the letters are highlighted for us. All right. And this was how it was, E, H, L, P. The first time we played this game, we all went to help because we decided that it must be help. But we realized that it wasn't help at all. It is something else. What could it be? EHLP. Thank you, Charmaine. So let us test that. So we realize that we have the code, the number system that is supposed to help us. We have the information and we have options. So if we click on that one, it seems as if we're outside. All right, the sound is off. So the person is running and breathing real hard. So you won't be hearing that because the sound is off. And clearly the person has passed out and is now in an area where there's civilization, and somebody has found the person and has called. Oh, clearly everybody knows about the Revanara Vault because this person says someone has escaped the Revanara Vault and we need an ambulance. But the person is passing in and out of consciousness, as you can see, all right? And so we wait to see what happens next. The person is coming to, opening his or her eyes, and it appears as if they have been moved to a room. Somebody says, welcome back to the land of the living. You gave us quite a bit of a scare there. We suspect that you have been through quite an ordeal in the Rebanara Vault. Based on your death-defying feat, the council wishes to invite you to complete a brief activity to award you the escaped badge. So there is promise of some kind of award because we escaped. We know that you have been through a lot. So if you refuse, we understand completely. And then we have two options. I could give it a try, but later, and then face another madman. No, thank you. Which one will we select?
But later.
So it takes us out. All right, so it would take us out. So let us talk a little bit about, I'm going to stop the sharing.
I want somebody to, but I want it, and she don't have APH.
I played the game, but I did not get the code.
Because, all right, so one of the things that happened is that the game has not been fully, somebody's phone is mic is open. One of the things what happened is that the game has not been finalized. Is Alicia? Alicia, your mic is on, is open. All right. So if it had been finalized and we saved it as HTML, you wouldn't have been able to do the things that you did. You would have gotten the code once you followed the correct path to freedom. So that is a little hiccup. I thought that if we had shared it and you ran it as a PowerPoint, you wouldn't have that option. But yes. So let us talk about the skills, the skill set. That's fine, Alicia. What kind of skills do you need to escape the room?
Observational.
So you need observation. What else?
Problem solving.
Definitely problem solving. Anything else?
Critical thinking.
I'm sorry, Olivine and then Corey.
I'm saying persistence.
Persistence, yes. Corey?
Critical thinking.
Comprehension.
Comprehension, critical thinking. Anything else?
I would say communication and patience.
Communication and patience. Thank you, Winifred. Remember, we were knowledge of redundancies. Yes. We were working as a team. So it also means that there is some, there's memory. Thank you. Teamwork, okay, and maybe delegation, depending on the different what's in the room, because it could be that you say you look for one clue, you look for one, you look for one. So it could also include negotiation. I hear negotiation. I see alertness. So all of these things are skills. Risk taking. Thank you very much. Risk taking is a good one. Focus. Is there any other skills that you think that the game is likely to develop? So Charmaine started out with negotiation. Anything else do you think? I think note taking in there somewhere is a skill that would be developed, because if there's dedication and commitment to the task at hand. And these are some things that we say we want to develop in our students as they become
decision making.
And decision making. Thank you very much, Winifred. Now, do you think that something like this could have a place in your institution, not just in your classroom, but set up as a part of your institution where, all right, I'm seeing yes. All right, so if this were to be something that you wanted to introduce into your institution, I keep seeing the yes, so that's good. What do you think would be needed? So think large, think wide, think broad. What would be needed for this to be set up in your institution? And let's open the mics and talk about this.
I'm thinking.
Go ahead.
Thinking creative input for one, time to develop, and resources, so it's money. And all I'm thinking is seeing is dollar bills as well.
And money, that's true. Anything else?
I won't believe the skill set would be important.
The skill set.
Really learn to use the technology. I teach life skills, but they just talk it out. They would do similar things like this, but they just talk it out, whereas this gives them more opportunity to act it out too.
All right. Anything else that you think your institution would need?
The mindsets in themselves need to be open, not just from the lecturer in particular, but just all stakeholders involved, just having
stakeholder buy-in.
Actually, yeah.
Very good.
I think there should be good communication between the IT team and the lecturer, because the lecturer will have the education, the knowledge, the background, the science, whatever the specialty is. But the IT team will have to help us how to formulate the game and, develop it and put it on the website.
And I see in the chat agreement on which skills are important for the institution. Thank you very much, Laura. All right. So what we're going to do, and this will be the bulk of what we're doing before we come back. So
consideration. that I think may need to be onboarded in for a process like this, and would be along the lines of a trauma-informed adaptation of the game, because we live in societies that are riddled with violence, and there may be persons who may be triggered by just the idea of confinement, of being held against their will, of being unable to escape. So that I think an adaptation to take that into consideration may be useful as well.
Yes, indeed. Okay, the link I just shared with us, it's a document that we are going to be putting together, and I'd love to see these ideas coming out. So we are creating an action plan document that we'll take back. We're not necessarily at this point, I have put them in phases. So I have 5 phases: planning and preparation. Let me just share my screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. So I clicked on the link just now and it opened it for me, please. I don't know what happened to the image that was here, but we are not writing. Oh, there is the image. So we need to start on page 3. So there's a little introduction, and we'll fix it up so that it's something that we can think about. But I have put them in 5 phases. The first phase, and I'll type in phase 1, phase 2, is planning and preparation. And so I have put different subcategories that are likely to come under planning and preparation. And then I had started putting in some critical questions. So I haven't done everything. I just started so that we had an idea. So what we're doing, we're crafting under each section the questions that would be posed. So if we look at the document, we'll see under phase 1, planning and preparation, that we have to think about the objectives and the goals, needs assessment, resource allocation, curriculum integration, stakeholder engagement, promotion and marketing strategies, professional development and training. Now, I may not have exhausted this list any at all. So if you can think of another subcategory that would fall under planning and preparation, please add it and add the critical questions that would be associated. The next one is design and development. Narrative and theme, because these are escape rooms, all right? So escape rooms are a story that is told. It depends on a theme and a storyline that you create. So what would be the narrative? What are the designs that you'd think of? The technology integration, what kind of technology would you need for this party? Would you use a platform, creating from scratch? What kind of tools? Testing and quality. Are you going to have a pilot testing of this? Which subjects you're going to use? Quality assurance. So the questions would be there. Then we have implementation and facilitation, or integration, if you will. And under this, I have several sections: scheduling and logistics facilitation. So what we're doing for the next half an hour or so is that we are going to go into rooms. So we're going to go into breakout rooms. Laura or Althea, could you create 5 rooms for me, please? And for each room, please name them phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and phase 5. All right. And don't send anybody over as yet though. And then in each of the rooms, what you will do is you will discuss among yourselves the section that applies to your room. So if you are in room 2, you would be focusing on phase 2. I'm going to rename these so that it's clear to you. And you think about, discuss among yourselves, what would be the kinds of question that you would pose to someone who is creating, who wants to implement the plan. Is this clear to you? I sounded to myself as if I'm babbling. Is it clear to you what it is that we're going to be doing?
Yes.
All right, great. So could we have 5 breakout rooms, please? And then you could, how much time do I have? We could give
You have 46 minutes.
I have 40. So let's do 25 minutes for the breakout room. I will come from room. I'll, do a run through in each of the rooms. So 25 minutes, 5 rooms, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. How was the experience for you? How was the collaboration and the discussion about what goes in? So I'm going to ask each, one person from each group can respond. How did you find the discussion and the population of the document? Was there anything that you thought should have been added? Anything that you thought was redundant? Or was it that there were ideas that you were fleshing out that belonged elsewhere? Talk to me, please. Are you hearing me?
My group had
Yes.
ideas that we believed came from other sections or would have been better asked by other sections. That said, of course, we weren't writing anything down at the time, but I suppose in a more fulsome discussion, we could remember some of these things and ask them if the teams haven't themselves asked these questions.
Okay, anybody else?
That was design and development group.
Anyone else?
I will say for the implementation group, we had some very good discussions. Well, I guess all of us were participating and sharing and adding to the document. And we think we captured quite a lot of the questions that are necessary to be asked and did so in a fulsome way. So it was a very good experience for us in that.
I would add, as a member of that group, that I believe that the ideas may not be relevant only to implementation. They would span other aspects as well. But I don't think that that is a problem because, that's just how this kind of thing works. You put things together and determine where is the best place for whatever it is. So even if things appear to overlap, or sometimes you wonder if it could fit somewhere, if it belonged somewhere else, that wasn't a major problem for us.
Thank you so much. And I've been looking at the document, and I'm looking at the document and I'm saying, yes, these are the kinds of questions that we need to ask. So in wrapping up, I apologize, I cannot share my PowerPoint. I deleted it. I don't know what I was doing. So let me wrap up from memory. We are aware of the potential of escape rooms as a part of the family of game-based learning. And we have agreed among ourselves, most of us have, that the idea of implementing escape rooms is one that has potential and something that you'd be interested in doing in your institution. And the idea of us planning together and asking the key questions, the questions that really matter for us to implement it. How realistic is this? It's not all fun and games. And so we were looking at 5 different phases. One that has to start out with planning and preparing for this. One that has to do with designing and developing the respective rooms. One that has to do with implementing and facilitating the rooms. So now that we have planned for them, we have designed them, how do we go about implementing them? Then there, of course, is, now that we have implemented them, how do we assess the success? How do we evaluate them? And after that, now what? Now that we have gone through this, how do we plan to scale up? How do we ensure scalability and sustainability? Now, one of the things you may have noticed, whether or not you are instructional designers, you may realize that the ADDIE model is being approached here, is being used, where you analyze, you design, develop, implement, and evaluate. And of course, we have the planning for long term. Some of the questions, and I'll just quickly go through some of the questions that we need to remind ourselves when we're thinking of implementing this, and I'll just name a few under each stage when it comes on to planning and preparation. And I'm pulling from some of the things that you have here and some that I have. We have to think about, why are we going to implement escape rooms? How do the objectives of these activities align with our institution's strategic goals, the mission, the vision. Okay, what are the needs of our institution? What does the institution need, so that, you know, if I say let's play games, what need with the games address? We have to think about the profile of our students and the profile of our faculty as well, okay? Because they're the ones who are going to have this now within the curriculum. We have to think about the resources. What are the financial resources? What are the human resources? What are the physical resources that we may need? Yes, they are digital escape rooms, but we may need to have a server, we may need to have a dedicated lab. So what are the different resources that we need, and how are we going to integrate it into the existing curriculum? What are the processes that we have to think about? Do we have to rewrite and return to our quality assurance curriculum committee for that? We have to think about training. Do we need to get training for our technical support? Do we need to get training for our faculty? What kind of training? How much? What kind of structure? So these are some of the questions that we need to think about when we're looking at the planning stage. When it comes on to the actual design of the rooms, now we have to think about the narratives. What are the storylines? We're going to write the stories. That's one of the things they need to ask. So where are we going to get the tales from? Are we going to be making use of the generative AI? That's a disruption that we cannot ignore. Are we going to get assistance there? Are we going to be thinking about, when we are creating these narratives, what are we thinking of in terms of voiceovers? Are we going to be using text to speech, that sort of thing? What kind of puzzles or challenges that align with what we want the student to be able to do? What kind of skill sets do we have to think of when we're putting together our puzzles and our narratives? For the technology integration, what kind of platforms are we using? What kind of tools are we thinking of? What kind of multimedia elements? All of these which link back to the whole matter of money, you know, testing and quality. How will we test the respective rooms to ensure that they work as they should? Are we going to get a team? Are we going to work it with the students? Are we what do we do and how do we do it? What kind of feedback will we have that will guide the implementation, whether at a pilot level or at a full rollout level? For scheduling, how many subject areas will we use? How often will we do this? Will we do it one per course, one per semester? What will the scheduling look like? How many students do we plan to have on it? Are we going to make a distinction in the scheduling with a pilot, probably a beta testing after? What exactly will the scheduling look like? Who will we need to help to guide this kind of implementation? What do we do when it comes on to informing the students? You know, so these are some of the things that we need to look at. Having done a pilot or having done a first iteration of it, let us look back and debrief. What went well, what didn't go so well? When we think about the assessment and the evaluation, we look at our learning outcomes for the respective courses. Did the escape room meet that kind of expectation? Can we see these things coming out? How will we get feedback from the students? How often will we get feedback from the students? What about the faculty? What about the technical support? Are we going to get feedback from them as well to speak about the challenges, the successes, what we should do? So that comes under assessment and evaluation. And then when we think about sustainability and scalability, we have to think about long term. How will our escape room initiative be maintained? How will it be sustained? How can we make it grow over the years? What kind of resources will we need to ensure that there is long-term viability and growth in this initiative that we have put forward? What are the things that we're going to put in place to continuously improve the escape plan? If we see the escape room plan if we see that this is something that is working? And how will we put this information out there? How will we be sharing with the students? Will we be sharing with faculty? Will we be presenting at conferences? Will we be doing infographics and summary sheets that we'll put up? Will we have samples that other people can play? So these are some critical questions that we have to think about. Ladies and gentlemen, another thing that I would like to say is, although this is for an escape room, it has implications. Setting up and asking these kinds of key questions have implications for any kind of game-based learning initiative that you want to put in place. Well, if you think about it, any kind of wide-scale technology, but I'm focusing on game-based learning. So these are the hard questions that we need to ask ourselves if we're going to be implementing. And one final thing, a number of persons were asking, how do we implement escape rooms, game-based learning at the classroom level? This is a discussion that we will have, but for today, we're focusing at the macro level. We're looking at the institutional level and how we can roll out for all our respective faculties and departments, and not so much how can we create and engage our learners using escape rooms or games. Okay, any questions? I'm open to questions because I think I do have a little time. Olivine says, I volunteer the FSS for beta testing phase. And all right, I will take you up on that. Any questions?
More a comment. I'm just thinking that implementing escape rooms at the classroom level will have to take us through thinking of and responding to many of the same questions that we have asked here at the institutional level. It's just on a smaller scale. And so the kind of headings and questions that we have on the document might be a good place to start. Because before you go ahead and say, all right, I'm going to do an escape room, you have to find the answers to some of these crucial questions.
That is so true. Thank you, Deidre. And Laura agrees with you there. And she says that even if we wanted to do it at the classroom level, it would still need some kind of institutional support. That is true. Thank you, ladies. Any other comments?
Statement, Michelle?
Yes, go ahead, Winifred.
You know, COVID came, and we were not prepared for COVID. But I remember during my studies, we had to plan for the unknown and what will we do as educators if things happen. So this that you are speaking about is very, very important to the institutions because none of us don't know what may happen tomorrow. And so it is important for every discipline to engage this, to prepare people for any unexpected change. And so even if it starts at a small level where you have 1 lab or 2 labs with these systems set up, where it is timetable, even if it's once a week, people go to the lab and they either could work along with a teacher or they go in there and experiment, because right now they play games that are just about money, but those games are about life. How do you address the challenges that come? You get locked somewhere. How will you think, well, what will I do next? And so I feel it can start small wherever, whichever institution. We don't have to focus on the cost for the whole institution, but we start at a small level. I like
Indeed.
that.
Thank you, Winifred.
Comment.
And for those who have been asking, yes, we will complete the document and I will share it so that you can have access should you decide to consider this. So we will complete it and the OFDC will share it. What we will have to ask though is that you indicate either in the chat or send an email to the OFDC email address to say that you're interested in having a copy of the completed draft. Please note it will still be a draft, but it is it's a document that's work in progress, but we will put the other questions in and share that with you. So yes, for those who have been asking, we will make it available. Okay. Thank you very much. I think that's the end of my stint, and I do have a little time, so I am good. Am I not, Dr. Pilgrim?